Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Profiles in Risk. This is your host Tony Cañas, pitching my second in a double hitter. In a Is it called double hitter? Anyway,
Double header.
two podcasts today. Pitching two podcasts today. This is the second one,
All right.
and it's been a wonderful day to begin with. Today I have with me Jon Lincoln. Jon, uh, formerly of Edfile and founder and CEO of Beruna. So basically, a thrice over founder, twice of
hmm
those in Insurtech, right? So currently, Go Imagine, which is a really cool thing outside of Insurtech. It is rare that I have the chance to interview somebody who has successfully created an Insurtech and exited, let alone twice. So basically, we're talking about his career and what he learned along the way. Jon, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
I am good, Tony. I appreciate you talking with me.
This is a treat for me. Uh, so yeah, how did it happen? So you graduated with a degree in marketing from Northeastern.
I
Uh,
did. Yeah, that was forever ago.
and I don't even like your LinkedIn has nothing before Edfile. So
Yeah,
how did
ET
you end
file.
up creating Edfile?
ET file. Well, actually, no, I
ET
joined
file.
ET file in the earlier days, but so it actually goes further back than that. I guess
Perfect.
I'm a little bit of a serial entrepreneur to a lot of degrees. In my 20s, you talked about Northeastern, which I graduated from 20 plus years ago. I actually got into stand-up comedy at the time. And so I know you're a magician
Hmm.
and you're getting more and more into your magic, which I think is tremendous.
Thank you.
I think anyone who can become a performer automatically becomes a great public speaker. And for me, it was stand-up comedy. I was doing that in Boston, Massachusetts, which eventually led to me opening up a stand-up comedy club outside of Faneuil Hall. That was my first entrance into starting my own company. And they always say, do what you love. And at the time, I loved stand-up comedy. That went very well. I did that from probably 2003 to 2010. Won some awards. We got Boston's Best Comedy Club. We were featured on the
Wow.
Today Show. We did some cool stuff there. And then around 2009, 2010, uh, it was time for me to grow up. I like to tell people when I was in my comedy days, I was making a living off it, but I was making a living off it like a guy who had to pay rent and get beer money, right? Around 2009, 2010 was when I had to, start looking into something a little more stable and scalable in terms of a career. And that's when I joined ET File, which is a document management solution in the insurance space. The company was integrated with Applied Systems, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners know Applied, originally with a product called TAM.
Hmm.
And working with ET File, we grew it to over 1,000 agencies around the United States and in Canada, which went very well. But while I was with ET File, what we recognized was that um, a lot of people were having complaints around their legacy systems. And I know you talk to a lot of insurtechs, right? And I'm sure you hear legacy systems and complaints with legacy systems.
Continues to be a problem 10 years later.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's better.
insurtech. It's better, yeah, but it continues to be a problem. It's like once you're on a system, it's very hard to leave that system. I mean, that's a natural thing, and that's why systems that were in the 80s still exist today, right?
Hmm.
Um, but so we heard a lot of those complaints from the agencies in our network, and what we found was that we used a product called Salesforce, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Salesforce, and we thought, well, what if we could build an agency management system on that? That fast forward led us to building Varuna. Varuna is an agency management system on Salesforce. We grew that over the course of a handful of years. And as you mentioned, we were very lucky, me and the other founders were lucky to have an investor come in and want to take our share, our ownership from that. And so we made that exit.
Okay, so the first one, Edfile, you
Yeah.
come in as VP of Operations in
Yeah.
5 years. This
Yes.
was from 2010 to 2015.
Correct.
So the insurtech revolution, it's hard to measure. But if I had to put dates on it, I would say that around 2014 is when we started seeing a lot of movement in that world, and we didn't even have a word for InsurTech
There was
until
no.
like 2017.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny you say that because I distinctly remember, I got 2009, 2010 was when I got into the insurance technology world, and you're right. There was the word fintech. Fintech goes further back, but there
Mm-hmm.
was no insurtech word. And then you're right. It was probably around 2014 that everyone, me and the other people were kind of like, I guess we're an insurtech. Like we didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah. So EdFile was significantly ahead of its time in that you got out of there 2015. It was an extremely early InsurTech. It was ahead of the wave that we've been in from 2014 to now, and
Right,
significantly ahead of the word InsurTech. By the
right.
way, the spelling of InsurTech was controversial,
It
and
was. Does it have an E or does it not have an E?
and
Right.
and I and my podcast co-founder Nick Lamparelli are both E people, and we lost. Right, like that's not the way it's
Yeah.
spelled anymore. The funny part is InsurTech Connect still like the largest conference does spell it with the E. But
ITC, right?
the
Yeah,
ITC does spell it with the E, but
they use
overall we
the
lost that fight. Uh, and okay, so very early early in InsurTech. All right, so very cool that okay, so you're using Salesforce there, and you're like, this would make a great agency management system. Okay,
why don't we build
uh,
something on that?
so what did you learn that you took with you from Medfile that helped you in Veruna and in your post InsurTech life?
Well, at ET File, what we mostly learned is working with agencies and understanding their needs. The insurance space is a unique space, and insurance agencies in particular are very unique. And no two insurance agencies are alike. And that's what we learned not only at ET File, but also at Varuna, is that they all have different blends to their business. So while you lump them all in together, the reality is everyone has their own unique workflows. Everyone sells different lines of business. Everyone has different carriers makeups they work with. And so when creating solutions for them, oftentimes you have to be flexible enough to fit each agency's needs. Because as soon as you think the product is done, you're going to talk to another agency that has a different need that you have not even seen yet.
And that's so I spend a lot of time offline. So not only do I do the podcast, but I also okay. So whenever something that looks like an InsurTech appears on my radar, I invite them on the podcast, and I'm happy
Hmm.
to have them on. When they're little more than an idea on the back of a piece of paper, but some of
Hmm.
them want to have a conversation and pick my brain before they come on the podcast. They're maybe not completely set on exactly what they're doing yet. So we chat offline, and I try to help them. And sometimes I'm helping them understand the basics of insurance. Not so much anymore, but that does happen. And one of the things that I'm always telling them is, okay, so the carrier world is
Hmm.
very large companies.
Right.
There's some medium sized, some smaller ones, but very large companies, and it's extremely slow to get into. The
Hmm.
agency side can be a lot faster to get into, but there's 40,000, something between 30,000 and 40,000 independent agencies.
Right. A lot more competition.
And it's I want to quote you on that. I want to quote you on each of them is different, because
Right.
normally my advice is go pick their brains, get in front of as many agencies as possible with your idea before you build anything,
Right.
and pick their brain. Is this something that would be helpful for you? And like look at the tech stack they have right now.
Yeah.
How will it fit into that? Look at the processes they have right now, right? But I'm gonna have to start warning them. But every one of them is different.
Every one of them is different. And then what I think we learned, especially at Varuna when growing the company, is that you can't be everything to everyone right away. Right? You can't say, we're going to do everything. We'll do P&C, we'll do benefits, we'll do life, we'll do health, we'll do, it's because the reality is, as an insurtech, when you're out there prospecting and you're trying to get new customers, someone always will inevitably say, "Hey, if you did this, we would buy it." And then you turn to your dev team and say, "Go build that."
That's
And then,
runway. That
yeah,
revenue is runway.
Right, and it's like just get the revenue, get the revenue, get the
Of
revenue.
course,
But
of course.
inevitably that hurts you if it isn't part of the product roadmap. So it's almost better to start small on a niche and say, this is what we do, this is what we're good at. And when you conquer that niche, start to grow the next thing and then the next thing. Because if you get too scattered, you become kind of like that dog from the movie Up, like squirrel, just the next thing. I'll build that and I'll build that and I'll build that.
I'm
And
the human version of
yeah,
the dog.
well, I can tell with your
The only
you
reason
walking
I
through a trade show.
the only reason I get anything done is because I recognize that about myself, and I partnered with Renee in my personal life, with Carly to build Insurance Nerds, with Kylie in my recruiting firm. Basically, partner with they happen to be women. That wasn't on purpose. Nowadays, Insurance Nerds, it's actually Nick. But basically partner with somebody who can execute, because what I have is immense passion, immense energy, and immense number of ideas.
And
Grab
yeah,
onto something and execute, because I won't execute anything. I mean, I'll record the podcast. That's about all. It's about all that I can
right,
execute
right.
myself. Um,
Yeah, I've always said a really good entrepreneur can have 100 ideas a day. The question is figuring out which one's the good idea, right? Because 99 of them are terrible.
yep.
Like finding the good idea, because everyone can have ideas.
No,
If you
and
can have a
and
lot of
and once you
ideas,
find the good idea, somebody has to execute on it.
right, right.
Uh,
Someone has to actually have follow through.
so
Um, but I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, and that was the experience I had, is that you can really get caught up in trying to build for everybody too soon. And then
mhm.
instead of becoming everything to everyone, you become nothing to no one because
so
you've got this system that doesn't really fully work for anybody.
So you're trying to become a Swiss Army knife, and instead you end up with this horrific monstrosity,
Exactly. Exactly. But first,
Frankenstein.
just build the knife at first. Just build the knife. But you're like, well, he wanted a corkscrew. Right? We got to put a corkscrew on it. You're
Mhm.
like, we're not a corkscrew company.
Yeah, do one thing really well.
Right, right.
Perfect,
Exactly.
perfect. Uh, I have a theory that I call the Abel Travis rule. Abel Travis used to be the head of innovation at AF Group. When he said this. And he's moved on now. But he used to run a podcast about Insurtech for about 100 great episodes, and then he moved on.
Mhm.
Good friend. Abel said several years ago, the Insurtechs that will be successful are the ones where the word Insurtech, the word Insurtech is half insurance, half tech,
Right,
where both at the leadership and in the company, they reflect that. They have a good
right,
balance of tech leadership and insurance leadership. The first, and then so I coined that into the Abel Travis rule, basically saying the insurance that will be successful are the ones that have that balance.
right.
Um, I don't know if that rule is 100% true. We kind of made it up, but it appears to me to make sense.
Well, I think you're dead on there
Okay.
because there are a lot of companies that they're all tech, but they don't have the insurance experience.
And that is happening less and less. At the beginning, at the beginning of the insurtech revolution, we had hundreds of those.
Because
Uh,
people who were in tech, they thought it would be easy.
a
They would
tech
say, "Oh,
hammer,
how hard could it be?"
a tech hammer looking for an insurance nail. Because of insurance nerds, we didn't even have the blog, the podcast yet. It was just a blog, and I happened to be living in Berkeley, California at the time. This
Okay.
was circa 2014. I start getting a whole bunch of calls from tech entrepreneurs and VCs, basically saying, "Hey, you wanna come into town, right? Like drive into San Francisco. We'll buy you a nice lunch and pick your brain about insurance." And what I kept hearing over and over and over was some variation of, uh, "You guys are running several trillion dollar business on 50-year-old technology." True. Uh,
Hmm.
we're gonna put State Farm out of business in 5 years. That part,
Not so true.
not so true. And the world today is radically different. In Insurtechs that I talked to today, it's a lot more. We are building a tool to help you do a little piece of what insurance does really, 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 really well.
Right.
And more often, and up until 2019, I used to get tons of calls of insurance people at Chat with Tony, my career advice service, saying, "How do I go Insurtech?" And I had to break their hearts and tell them they don't want you. They don't want me. They want tech people. Okay. And
Right.
then 2020, it just happened to coincide with COVID. I don't think they were related, but it just happened to coincide with COVID. All of a sudden in 2020, Insurtech started hiring a bunch of traditional insurance people. And
Right.
now my business as a recruiter, I went off on my on we opened this operation 2.5 years ago in the middle of 2022. The majority of the business we do is recruiting traditional insurance people for Insurtechs. Right, I built a business around selling shovels to the Insurtechs. So now, and I run into more and more insurance people, traditional insurance people that got tired of bad tools and partnered with tech in order to build a tool.
Hmm.
So I'm curious. This was a very long way to ask. I'm curious at Varuna, since that was fairly early in the insurtech world, right? 2015 to 2021. In 2015, at Varuna, was there a real insurance person in there that really
Correct.
understood how agencies worked?
Yes, yeah. So two things we did was the first thing I did was we brought in two different insurance consultants that we made partners in the company. So they came in.
Fantastic.
One is Cheryl Koch, the other is Mary Eisenhart. I'm not sure if you know those names, but
I think Cheryl, I do.
yeah, and so they they knew the insurance industry inside and out. In fact, Cheryl teaches CSRs. I mean, a lot of what she's done
Yep,
in
I
her
know
career.
Cheryl very well.
Okay.
And she was on the
Yeah.
podcast not long ago. Yeah, no, she was not. Her new partner was on the podcast, but yeah, I've known her
Okay.
because of CPCU World for a long time.
Yeah. And so we brought them in as partners in the company, and they were a very big proponent in giving us basically the knowledge we needed on what to build, right? What the actual workflows would be within the product. The second thing we did was one of our early investors was the Keystone Insurers Group, and they have a network of hundreds of agencies. And
Big one, yeah.
we created an advisory council with a number of the agencies that as we were building, we were working directly with the agents for the building. So between the insurance consultant partners we had on board and then also the advisory council, I think we were able to really get a lot of the experience we needed to do it correctly, right? Because to
That
your point,
explains
yeah.
why you were successful.
Yeah, and Varuna continues to grow today. I mean, it's I love watching it from the sidelines because it keeps getting bigger and it keeps doing better things, and so it's exciting to watch.
So what was Keystone the first major client that you guys signed?
Yeah. Well, first investor slash client, correct?
Uh,
They were both.
So Varuna opens in 2015.
Yeah.
How long from there until Keystone came on? And I like roughly.
Probably, geez, I don't know, 9 months.
Oh, that was fast. That was
It
very
was
fast.
fast. It was
Very
fast. Yeah, it was
okay.
fast. Well, so the way the story goes, I don't mind sharing it, is we were building the company, in dark, it was in secret, you're not telling anybody yet. But
Stealth.
I had already had a relationship with the Keystone Insurers Group, and at one point I was at one of their conferences with their CTO I'm hanging out with, and he says, "Hey, what do you guys have going on?" And I was like, "Well, we're actually building a new AMS on Salesforce." And he says to me, he goes, "Really? That's intriguing. Tell me more." I told him more, and he said, "Are you looking for investors?" And I'm like, "Well, we are now." Like, as soon as someone says we want to invest, you're like, "Whoa,
No,
let's talk about that."
note to the listeners. This is
Yeah.
not normally how it goes.
No. This is not the normal path. You don't just stumble upon an investor. But they were really intrigued about the product we were building and how it could help their agents at the time.
That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Now that
Um,
that said, what does
mhm.
go a long way, and I'm sorry I didn't want to
No,
interrupt
no, no,
you,
no, no, never. You're never
is
interrupting.
is I think this is where having a network that you build is helpful when you're building a company, because if you have a network, the more people you talk about, the more likelihood someone's going to say, "Hey, do you need investors?" Or, "Hey, I know someone who might be interested," or someone else. Now, it happened a lot quicker for me than I think most, but uh, you've got to talk to everybody. You've got to tell the world what you're doing because otherwise, no one's going to find out.
So for the listeners, regardless of your if you're an entrepreneur or not, but this is double true for entrepreneurs, maybe triple true, your network is your net worth. Not today, but your network, your net worth will continue increasing, and eventually it'll rise to your network.
That's interesting. I like the way you put that. Your
Yep.
net worth is your
And
net worth.
I'm still trying to phrase that. I don't think that's a Tony original idea. I've heard it somewhere, but
Okay. I like it.
yes, your network, your net worth eventually matches your network. It, and it I agree. You have to tell people what you're doing. I struggle with that myself. I
Yeah.
in my world, and my world has luckily come closer and closer and closer to integration, and I'm really happy how that's gone. But my what supports Tony, what pays for my living expenses, is a little recruiting firm that I opened 2.5 years ago. I don't talk about it enough. I
Mhm.
love talking about the podcast. I love talking about the magic. I love giving people career advice. And then like I am really bad at reminding people, hey, and remember, I run a recruiting firm. That's how
I
I
do
make my
this.
living. So I can totally
Well,
connect.
but one thing you've done amazing, Tony, is you've built a brand for yourself.
Thank
You
you.
know, you've done that better than most. You
And
walk through a trade show and everybody knows who you are.
if I at PLRB last week, as they were in the PLRB first timers session. And this is a conference that I have only been to once. And the year that I went to, it almost got canceled by a hurricane. This is a claims conference.
Okay.
I think it was 2017. I was supposed to be a speaker, and 2 weeks before the conference, which was going to be in New Orleans or was in New Orleans, a hurricane hits Houston. So they call me and they're like,
Mhm.
"Hey, we need you to tone down your session. And number two, there's going to be very few people here because a hurricane just hit Houston, right?" That was
Mhm.
the only time I'd been to PLRB. So I go to I was at PLRB last week, asked a paid magician, paid to be my first paid gig. My girlfriend was given the
That's awesome.
keynote, also paid her first big keynote. In the new in the first time at PLRB session, uh I was standing at the back and they pointed me out and said Tony's gonna be doing magic and it's not an insurance conference until Tony walks in. And this is a conference that I have not been to for a long time. Uh,
Wow.
and I absolutely love that. Now,
Of course, yeah.
if I had hired an expensive branding consultant, 15 years is how long it's taken me to build this brand. If I had hired an expensive branding consultant 15 years ago to create this, it wouldn't have worked. It
No.
quite like it happened organically and over time, and it has worked. But thank you, thank you so much. I really
Absolutely,
appreciate that.
absolutely. I mean, like you've got a brand happening now that people will remember. You walk down the hallways of a conference and people say, "Hey, there's Tony." You know,
The true
it's a great
example
thing.
is
Now your recruiting business, you've got to be more greedy and start getting the
I
name
know.
out there. You've got to start saying, hey, you know what you should do? You should create a card trick. At the end of the card trick, you hand them the business card for your recruiting agency.
I
So slip the
right
card into your deck.
so right now, I walk up to your booth at the Insurtech conference. Very nice to meet you. I give you my card, which is a playing card.
That's awesome.
That has all the stuff in the back and my contact info. And I tell you about the podcast, tell you that it's free, tell you to email me to come on the podcast, and I say, and I'm a magician, which is why the card is a playing card. Would you like to see a trick? But often people ask, so the trick doesn't involve the card, and it doesn't. I need to work on that.
Uh,
I absolutely
yeah,
need to
yeah.
work on that. And often I don't mention the recruiting side, which is my revenue generation. I often don't mention it until after we record the podcast.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and then I am really bad at reminding people of it. I'm actively working on this. Uh,
Well, let's all right, here we go. Let's flip the script real quick, Tony.
Perfect.
All right, let me interview you. Tell me why did you want to get into recruiting and become a recruiter? What was it that got you into this?
I am above and beyond anything else a passionate insurance nerd.
Okay.
Insurance nerds. So the original piece, Insurance Nerds, the blog, 10 years old now, and
Mhm.
we now has a little bit of revenue model never did in history. That was very much to help young insurance professionals grow their career. Okay, then uh, I started. I got all my designations and put them all on LinkedIn, and started getting a whole bunch of messages asking for career advice because of my
Mhm.
designations. Okay,
Right.
so in order to organize those conversations, I got a Calendly and I bought the domain name chatwithtony.com and pointed it to that Calendly. That was long before I became a recruiter. So I've been having those conversations. Then I wrote my book about how to engage millennials in insurance. And after the book came out, it became clear that I was not going to be able to continue working for any insurance carrier. It was Liberty Mutual at that time, but it could have been any insurance carrier. Because number one, they would not be comfortable with my visibility in the industry. And number two, because they're super conservative. And it's like, we love you. We can't have you on payroll. Even if you're not telling people that you work for us, we can't have you on payroll. And number two, and the biggest issue, I did not have enough vacation time to go to all the conferences I was getting invited to go to. And my girlfriend's a passionate traveler. The vacation time was being used to travel with her. So I realized that recruiting gave me the chance to support all the insurance industry. And I was about to become an independent recruiter when Greg Jacobson, one of the two CEOs of the Jacobson Group, the largest recruiting firm in insurance, basically, when he asked me how I was going, and I told him that I was probably becoming an independent recruiter, he said, "Well, if you're going to do that, come do it for us. We're the largest." So I joined Jacob, and then it was a long negotiation process because my girlfriend didn't want to move to Chicago, and they did it. Their status, this was before COVID. Their theory was we have remote people, but they started in Chicago, and then they moved. So we negotiated for 6 months. Finally, we came to an agreement that did not require me to move, and I joined the company, and I was there for 4.5 years. But I was not a recruiter because they're divided between recruiting and sales. I was sales. People thought of me as the most recognizable recruiter in insurance, but I was not a recruiter. I was sales. And the other disconnect was that my biggest network. So I was selling Jacobson's services to traditional insurance carriers. And I was selling a specialty service to traditional insurance carriers based in the northeast. And my biggest network was Insurtech, right? I run the largest podcast in the Insurtech space, which happened by accident too. But so basically, after 500 episodes of the podcast, 150 ran by Nick Lamparelli and the following by me. After that many episodes, I realized, Jacobson's at that time at least, they were not super well set up to recruit for Insurtechs. They're very, very well set up to recruit for traditional carriers. That's what they've always done. So I realized, if I go on my own, if I open my own shop, the business is already. And that's exactly what happened. I joined the franchise called Goodwin Recruiting, where I run my own shop internally in here. And immediately, we in 2.5 years, we have signed over 100 recruiting contracts, most of them with Insurtechs. This week, I actually posted about it today. We are recording this on April 10th. As of end of day yesterday, April 9th, during April, thus far, in 9 days, we have signed 6 new clients. It is, it's gangbusters. Like, it's crazy.
That's great. What's the name of your recruiting firm?
So I go to market through a franchise called Goodwin Recruiting. The reality is behind the scene. My firm is Top Hat Recruiting. And we go to market through Goodwin. So I still have a little bit of challenge, but I have definitely brought my worlds together. I still have a little bit of challenge with the Goodwin brand, but Goodwin has been amazing to me. If any recruiters not in insurance are listening, it is a great place to build your practice. It truly is.
That's fantastic.
We're self-employed. We eat what we kill. They allow us to run it the way we want to run it. So Insurtechs love working with us because we understand the business and we run it the way that it works for them. We're super flexible. And basically, Goodwin runs my back end. They run all accounting and all the back end stuff, IT, all the stuff that I don't want to deal with.
That's perfect.
It's beautiful. Perfect.
So do you find that doing all these interviews you've done over the years have helped you in your own entrepreneurial efforts?
Oh, well, the 15-second pitch after we finish recording, which is, hey, just so you know, my day job, I run a little recruiting firm specializing in insurance and Insurtech. If you're ever looking to hire, we'd love to chat with your head of people or your head of HR if it's a little bit bigger company. And then I'm trying to hang up. That feeds us about 80% of our business.
Wow.
And also, the other thing that it has done, I learned so much about the areas of insurance that I have never worked in. And
Right.
that makes it even easier to recruit and to properly serve, right? So, like, I didn't know two words about health insurance when when I started my recruiting firm. I'm a PNC guy. I've had enough health insurtechs that I've learned enough that now we can help health insurtechs in recruiting.
Right. Right.
So yes,
Right. Right.
it's been
You've
incredibly
learned enough
helpful.
you can talk the talk and you can support them.
Exactly, exactly. And now a big part of the success is a woman named Kylie who was at Jacobson a year before me. Oh, excuse me, what was at Goodwin a year before me, and at Jacobson for 9 years.
Okay.
Um, Kylie is COO of our operation, and she is amazing at making magic. Truly, I just bring in the business. She manages everything else.
That's
Uh,
fantastic.
and we're perfectly complementary. So if when it comes to choosing a co-founder, I
Yeah.
my advice, and I am definitely curious about your advice, but my advice when it comes to finding a co-founder, find somebody who is radically different than you,
I
who you
agree.
thoroughly trust, and who is perfectly complementary to right, who will see what
Yeah.
you don't see and be able to do the things that you can't do.
And you both need to be willing to listen to each other and not be stubborn. Because
Love
sometimes they're going to be right, sometimes you're going to be right. It's all about making. There's a quote from Henry Ford I've always liked, and the quote is, "If two partners always agree on the same thing, one of them is not
a,
necessary."
a thousand. In
Because
fact, yeah. And in fact, the research, not directly on partnerships, but the research on diversity
right,
says that
right,
that if you have a bunch of MIT grads with you know engineering degrees, and you add a psychology grad from Iowa State, I was management information system, but my girlfriend is psych.
okay.
Uh, Even if the psych grad is significantly less smart than the very very brilliant MIT engineers, the group just got smarter
Because they're bringing a different
because
perspective.
they look at
Yeah,
everything differently.
everything differently. And then the next challenge is making sure you have a group of people where their egos don't get in the way of them willing to compromise and listen. Because a lot of people they want their idea to win. And sometimes it's like it's not about your idea winning or losing. It's about the team working together to come up with the best idea or come up with the best plan of
That
action.
that is fantastic. But when I'm talking to people, so a lot of times I'm recruiting traditional insurance people to go into Insurtech, and I am very very honest with them. I tell them, if you take this job, you are giving up stability and exchanging it for excitement, for better
Yeah.
technology, for an awesome company culture. You're gonna work your butt off, but you'll probably be remote. You might get equity, you might not, right? That depends on the role. Um, One thing to be very aware of, especially if you're like first 10 employees, first 15 employees, any given comment in a meeting could become the new direction of the company. And you have to be okay with that. And
It's
insurance
true.
people generally, they're so used what's it called?
In the insurance industry, change is very difficult. It's like moving
Very
a
slow,
ship, you
very
know?
very by committee. Uh,
Right. But if you're in a small company with 15 people, you have an idea today, you can start implementing it tomorrow if you
and
want to.
and like maybe you were hired as a maybe you were hired as a customer success guy,
Hmm.
right? You're not even like the leader of the group. You're a customer success guy, we brought you in because you had some insurance experience in the area that they're serving, and you have
Hmm.
a good idea in a meeting, and all of a sudden, like they're running with it, and not only that, but you might be tasked with implementing it,
Right.
right? And you have to be
Right.
okay with wearing a lot of hats.
A lot of hats, yeah.
And a constant change of direction is quite simply natural. Uh, so dynamic, right? A incredibly dynamic environment.
Yeah, yeah, and when you're, it's funny you say wearing a lot of different hats. When you're the founder of a company, you know, you have to do everything that has to get done at first. Because you're employee number one essentially. And then you start hiring. After you raise money, and to your point, you want to hire for your weaknesses, right? Like so, for instance, for me, as example, by trade, I'm sales, I'm business development, I'm marketing, right? So of course, my natural first hires is going to be the product person. It's going to be the operations person. Now another founder might be a tech founder. There's someone that really understands the tech, and their first hire is going to be the sales and marketing focused guy. It's always hiring for your weakness.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't stop you in the early days from doing everything. So you got to
Mm-hmm.
figure out quick how to do what has to get done across the board.
Let's talk about the funding side. My
Mhm.
my my favorite part about my recruiting business and about my podcasting business, my favorite part about my business life in general is the fact that I never have to raise because it's a very capital light business, and I'm not trying to grow something exponential. I'm growing a lifestyle business that I want to die. I want to die
Mhm.
at 103 years old, still doing this job, and
Right.
have my partner's kids take over the business. I like it's not being built to sell it. Uh,
Right.
you guys and 99% of, in fact, 100% just about of the insurtechs I interview, you at some point have to raise, right? So what was that like? And I understand that there's probably NDAs and stuff, but what was that? What advice do you have for founders as they raise?
I think the best advice I can give is that when you're raising money, to realize whoever you're getting the money from is a marriage. You're taking money from someone that you are going to be married to for a long time. And so it's not just about the money, it's finding the right fit with the right investor, which means does their vision align with your vision? Is their personality? Do you jive well with them? Because if you don't, it's going to be very awkward board meetings and awkward meetings that you just don't really see eye to eye or work well together. It's like marrying the wrong person. Actually it's probably even harder than a marriage because trying to get away from them is harder than a divorce because once they have their money in you, it's like what do you can't be like, oh, can we just walk away now? You're like, no, there's no walking away. We're in this together now. Like, it gets very difficult. So it's much like I would say getting a job where you want to interview them as much as they're interviewing you, right? I think the natural reaction of anyone raising money is just, who's going to give me money? I'll take it from anyone.
Yeah, if you can see the end of your runway, right?
Yes.
If you're like
Yes.
4 months away from the end of the runway, it's I've never been there, but it has to be so tempting to whatever
Yeah,
buys me
yeah,
another 6 months.
I have been there, and I will tell you, when you realize payroll's coming up, and in 3 months we won't have money for everybody, you know, it is stressful because it gets to the point where it's not just your life, it's everyone who's working for you. It's all their lives as well, right? And that's scary. That is a scary place to be. And sometimes you just take the money when you got to take the money. But to a large degree, you should, to the best of your ability, be a little choosy and sometimes not take the first money that hits, right? That comes your way.
How important? So one thing I've heard a lot is that beyond the money, one of the most important things that your VC, if you go that route, brings you is the connections, the doors they can open.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a huge one, and that gets back to the matching of the investors. The Keystone Insurers Group opened up a lot of doors to agencies for us because they had a network of agencies. So that gets into more to like the strategic investor where they're bringing more value than just the money they're putting on the table, right? Because anyone can give you money, but are they also bringing you connections? Are they bringing you clout? Are they bringing you other intangibles that you can't really you know get otherwise, and I know with Varuna, for instance, and this is where I can't talk too much further. There's other investors that have come on board that have been strategic as well, right? So as investors have come on board, they've been strategic investors that have brought other things besides just their money. Um, and then it's funny you mentioned VCs because then you can go down the rabbit hole of discussing, well, the type of investor, because a VC has different expectations than a private equity investor or an angel investor. They have different needs, different wants. A VC is looking for 10x return and they want it within 5 to 10 years. And then you're going to go through a seed round and a Series A and a Series B, and you're going to try and scale rapidly. Some investors are fine with slower growth. They're not looking for you to scale to 3 rounds of funding over 3 years, and so I guess the strategy there is like, well, what do you as a founder want your company to become? Because if you want your company to be profitable and successful, but not necessarily the billion-dollar unicorn that VCs are looking for, well, then you probably don't want VC money because they're going to have expectations on you that you're not looking to fulfill.
And back when you raised for Varuna, I don't think that there were any carrier VC funds. So now we have like American Family Ventures and a bunch of
Oh my
carriers
God. Do you
now have
realize
VCs.
like I saw these all come out in like 2018 and 2019 and like they're creating broker tech ventures and they're creating this
The
venture firm
ecosystem
for
is so
this
much
and
better.
NFP Ventures. I'm like I had no one to pitch to. There was no one out there. There was no one to pitch.
So I'm hoping, and I don't know this for a fact. I am hoping that that those VCs, that carrier-owned VCs, are a little bit more patient and that they are investing partially for return and partially for, hey, this is something that right, American Family Ventures, hey, this is something that American Family could really use if once you build it.
Right, right. It's a strategic play, right? So most VCs, their only strategy is how am I getting my money back,
Mm-hmm.
on a 10x return for the investors I have. But you're right. If you're looking at those carrier ones or even agency networks that are investing, because that's happening as well, they're looking at it from a strategic standpoint. So there's more value to them than just what's my return going to be, right? So I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head with that.
Did Varuna go through an accelerator? I'm guessing at that time it was Plug and Play was the only one that had an Insurtech vertical.
No, there was no accelerator per se we were part of. One thing that we did get involved a lot with at the early stages is Accord, which I'm sure you're familiar with Accord. We partnered with the Accord Solutions Group. We started building some really unique functions, and there used to be what's called the Accord Innovation Challenge. I don't know if it exists still or not, but we were a part of the Innovation Challenge, and I think it was in 2016 we won the Innovation of the Year award through Accord, which was really cool. But that Innovation Challenge really connected a lot of people within the insurance technology. Right, because even we were before all these conferences, Insurtech Boston, Insurtech ITC, all these events you could go
Yep.
to. That didn't exist when we started in 2015, right? So the only thing that I remember existing was that Accord Innovation challenge. So that's the first thing we kind of became a part of.
Yeah, the ecosystem today is amazing. Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely amazing. We got broker tech, we got on ramp, we got my beloved GIA, we
Yeah.
got 1101 North Carolina, I can't remember their name right now. Weston Labs, 101 Weston Labs.
Uh-huh.
Uh and we have ITC and Insurtech Insights and amazing local groups. We have Stacy Brown and his like 10 different cities that he has groups
Yeah.
in.
Stacey Brown's in Tech Hartford, right?
Insurtech Hartford and now runs Insurtech Chicago, Insurtech Atlanta, and several of them.
Oh, really? I didn't realize Stacey
I
did that much.
yeah, no, Stacy retired from AXA and now runs that full time, and it's several different cities. I chased him around the country last year, basically. Like it really felt like I was stalking him.
Like
Because
every conference, you're like, hey, what's up,
not
Stacey?
not everyone, but I did probably 8 local events that Stacy organized in different parts of the country last year because he would post about him, and I'm like, oh, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, specifically to be able to, oh, Insurtech Charlotte tomorrow, no problem, right?
Yeah, so you just literally followed Stacy. He said, "Hey, I'm going to be at this event." You're like, "I guess I'll go to that event."
I have not said this publicly. I hope Stacy doesn't mind, but I finished the year by sending him a Stacy Brown bobblehead, like a custom Stacy Brown bobblehead. So
A Stacy Brown bobblehead you
so
can make custom.
so give me half a sec. Okay, so
You can make a custom bobblehead.
my friend Sarah Moonies has the author of Undiscovered Voices has this wonderful idea of sending friends custom bobbleheads, and they're awesome. So I got this one from her, and this is my old brand, right? The Superman brand. And you can see it's short hair because that was me at the time. The glasses are black instead of and this is one of my most prized possessions. Okay, so and she has sent them to a few people. So
what's the name of her business?
She's not the one that makes them. She is a recurring customer to the people that actually make them.
Oh, okay, all right.
So and I can't remember what they are, but I can put it in the show notes.
That's such a cool idea.
So anyway, end of last year, I had chased Stacey Brown so much, and I had kind of seen him going from like, because Insurance Nurse has been involved at Insurtech Hartford from the very beginning. So we have seen Stacey go from like very formal XXL suit to his brand now, which is the suit without a tie and like Jordans. I think it's Jordan tennis shoes. And so I asked Sarah, who is it that makes your bubbleheads? And I ordered one of Stacy. And then I conspired with his daughter. His daughter Myra is a marketing intern for him, and I've seen her at several conferences. She's a big fan of my magic. That's awesome. So I conspired with her to get a mailing address, and I shipped him a Stacey Brown bubblehead.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm sure he loved it.
He loved it. Yes, he loved it. He hasn't talked about it publicly. I'm the first one to talk about it publicly. I might put a picture of it because he did send me a picture when he received it. Nice. So anyway, we have Stacey Brown's organization that's doing all of those, and then we have Insurtech New York. Insurtech New York stands on its own.
That just happened last week, right?
Yes, but Insurtech New York is more than a local group. They have the like the normal like quarterly meetings or whatever. Then they have the annual Insurtech New York Spring, which is so freaking fantastic that last week I had so much FOMO about missing it that I ended up last second, even though I'm extremely Delta loyal, taking a midnight flight on Spirit. And then taking a Frontier flight back to be there for the second day.
Spirit there and Frontier back.
I felt dirty for like a week. I'm still showering it off, and like I feel like I cheated on Delta. But it was last second because it's such a good conference, and they have the MGA lab, and they have an accelerator like the overall the overall ecosystem to grow on Insurtech now exists. Did not exist at all when you were building Bermuda.
No, it did. It's surprising how much it's blown up, and so when I started, this is kind of aging what it was like when I started in insurance technology. The big buzzword was cloud. It was the cloud. Like the cloud was the big thing. Then around 2000, I want to say it was like 15 to 17, those years, everything was blockchain. Right. It was, the blockchain is going to take over the world. Right. Everything was blockchain. And now everything is AI. I don't think people even talk about blockchain anymore.
So AI is the worst one. So blockchain, there's some implementations out there. Nobody talks about it anymore. During the blockchain era, maybe one out of every 4 or 5 podcasts was about blockchain. Today, something like 95% of episodes are about AI. I swear I should take I don't drink much, if at all. I should take a shot every time the guest says AI.
And the tough part about AI is you never know what they mean by AI. You're like, because like sometimes you use it as a buzzword. You're like, we built AI.
What many of them mean, and I'm a non-technical guy, so it's very hard. One of my biggest problems is how do I suss out who's real when it comes to AI. But really, what most of them mean is I can't raise unless I'm an AI company.
Yes.
That's the world right now, right? Hopefully
We're
it changes.
AI enabled, AI enabled. It's like it's almost like, yeah, it's so when you see AI companies, you have to question like what part of the product is AI? What does that AI do? And how valuable is it? You know, because maybe the whole product might not have any AI except this one sliver, and now they can say it's AI
Yeah, no,
enabled.
no, 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 no. Let's be super clear. Everybody has added AI sprinkles to whatever product they have, so
Whatever
that they
they're
can
doing,
call
you know.
themselves an AI firm, so that they can raise. Uh,
Exactly, exactly.
so you
Yeah.
were lucky that back in the Baruna days, that was not. Was there any so cloud was the buzzword. So did you guys have to? Did you guys really sell on we are the cloud AMS?
To a large degree, yeah, because one of our big competitors was Applied Systems, where they had TAM, which was an on-premise solution, and Epic, it's still at the point at that point was very on-prem,
Mm-hmm.
although they were trying to make it go to the cloud. And then we were built on Salesforce, and Salesforce got their claim to fame being the
Mm-hmm.
the SaaS implementation, no software cloud product. And so yeah, so we were all about the cloud. We were all about it. Now the cloud obviously stuck around. No one says the cloud anymore because everything's the cloud. It's just all of it's
In insurance, so I did stop. If we go back to the podcast episodes from, let's say, 4 years ago, I was still asking sometimes. So what is the implementation like? Do you bring a server into my office, kind of thing, right? And,
right.
and and the great majority of them were no, we're cloud. I don't ask that anymore. But on the carrier side, there are there are plenty of companies who are on Guidewire working on the transition to Guidewire Cloud, and they're not there yet.
They're
So
not
in
there yet.
insurance, it definitely uh still happens. So okay, so Verona was built on cloud. The cloud was definitely a big thing to sell.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a buzzword anymore. It's more
it's
of an
not about
expectation. It's
a
more an
buzzword
expectation.
anymore. So the last, so you did 6 years. 6 years is a long time
Mhm.
at a startup, right? It's not really a startup anymore after 6 years.
Yeah,
Uh,
you never know when is a startup no longer a startup, but yeah, you're
so
right.
now startups, I don't care if you're 10 years old. I'm still happy to recruit for you. I'm happy to recruit for a 100-year-old carrier. Okay.
Yes.
Um, so getting towards the last, let's say the last third of your time at Baruna, the mature years of Baruna, what was that like? Like, because you're kind of an entrepreneur by heart.
Yeah.
You love to sell, and you're very good at selling solutions within our space. Uh, but for an entrepreneur, like how many employees did you guys have by the last 2 years?
So when I left, I think we had around 27, maybe.
Oh, okay, so it was still
30. It
okay.
was it wasn't hundreds of employees.
Did
We
it
had we
still
had probably
feel like a startup?
yes and no.
Okay.
So I guess what I'd tell you is you go through the phases of growth at a company like we went through, and it's never a straight line. It's always a roller coaster. It's kind of like raising a child, where it's not that like the baby is harder than the teenager. It's that there's different problems, right? You have to solve it different ways.
Uh-huh.
So when you're brand new, you mentioned before that the easy part is you're scrappy. You can just make a decision and implement it tomorrow and go, 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 right? But the challenge is you're under-resourced, you're understaffed. You can't get done everything you want to get done. Well, when you get to like, 20, 25 employees, now you have, a support team in place, you have a sales team in place, you have an operations team in place, you've got, an engineering team in place. So you have four, like in our case, you had four different kind of small teams you're all working with. And you can't have a one-on-one relationship with everybody in the company. Now, I can only imagine for companies that scale to 100 employees, it gets even harder, right? As you scale and then 200 and 300 employees. And the problems become different. They never go away. Is I guess the best way I'd put it.
There has to come a point where you're no longer an entrepreneur, you're a manager. And those
Yeah.
are radically different skill sets.
Well, that's why I think that's why a lot of founders you see
Mm-hmm. Of
leave the company and
course.
start a new company or start a new startup, or get into a startup because there's something innately exciting about a startup that, you know, some people are more some CEOs are more skilled at coming into an established company and putting in process, procedure, and growth. But then there's the startup guys that want to be scrappy and have an idea, and they're different skill sets.
They're different
And
people for the most part.
yeah, they're different people. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
I now that I'm deeply embedded in the insurtech world, and I've been around for long enough that now I know more and more people who have had exits, uh, and sometimes second exits, which is crazy to me. They announced the exit. I congratulate them, right? And generally they've been acquired by a player, right, by an incumbent. And they joined that incumbent for a couple of years, right? Because they have an non-compete and stuff. So the next time I see them in person, usually at ITC, hey, congratulations. Um, when you're ready to start your next one, right?
Yeah.
And I should be more organized about this, but especially that. So if you sell right now, I will congratulate you in person at ITC this fall, and then next ITC, I will be like,
I'll
hey,
interview you for your next one.
we're coming up on 2 years, aren't we? What do you want to do next?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because there's very few founders, to your point, that after being acquired, take a job with the acquired company and stay there for a
Very
long
few.
time. Yeah, they're going to have a transition period, a year or two.
Mhm.
They transition out, but they're not there 7 years later, still working at the company.
Yeah. What do you want to do next? And hey, whatever that is, can we help you find the co-founder? Can we, we're ready to help you recruit when you're
Right,
when you're
right, right. And
there.
then
Um,
the one constant in the world is you, Tony. You're the one constant.
so what comes
He,
in the insurance thing?
he goes, you're going to be doing this at 80 years old, still same top
Oh
hat
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
glasses.
I'll be
And
first. Go ahead.
I was going to say you're going to go nowhere. You're the one that, let's say,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
be
yeah. I
still
will be the
showing up to the
cockroach
conferences.
of the insurtech world.
Yes.
You can nuke it, and I'm still there. I first it's gonna be long white hair. And at the end, it could be bald. I hope not, but the long white. I thought I'd be white by now. I thought I'd be white
Really?
by 30, and I've been really lucky to make it to 42. Uh,
All right. Well,
we're
really, well, there's
we're
nothing wrong with being bald, Tony.
no, nothing, nothing at all. But I do love my long hair. I wish I had grown it
Yeah.
earlier. I only grew it during COVID at like 39. I
You've
wish
got
I
you
had
got a little bit
started.
of Weird Al Yankovic in you.
I get Weird Al Yankovic. I get Slash was the inspiration
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
look. Um,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we're running out of time here. This is a fantastic conversation. We haven't touched yet on Go Imagine. So so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
outside of InsurTech, what is Go Imagine?
So Go Imagine was when I was exiting Varuna was the big idea I had on in the e-commerce space. So this is not InsurTech as you mentioned, but I had the idea of what if someone built an online marketplace where a portion of every transaction fee went to charity.
I absolutely love it.
So that was the premise of the idea. So we built an online marketplace for makers and artists. So it's a handmade marketplace, but every transaction we donate 2% to children in need. To help children in need, and that's gone very well. I've done that for a few years. It's grown to over 7,000 makers and artists around the USA that are on it. We've done well over $2 million in transactions on the platform, and yeah, it's been an exciting ride. It's been very different than InsurTech. I think as an entrepreneur, you're excited about different challenges, and this was a different challenge for me, doing something that was more B2C in the online space than B2B, because every insurtech's a B2B play to a large degree.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what I've been doing for
That
the
is very
past few
cool.
years. Yeah, it's
That
exciting.
that is
You can
very
check it out at
very
goimagine.com.
yeah, very very cool. No idea what to ask about that one, but very very cool.
That's fair.
Thank you for doing that. Like that is fantastic, and it's now been 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Uh, right, the indiscreet question. So can we get you back? Are you? And of course, like or we can cut it afterwards. You don't have to answer, but is there another insurtech in there that you're playing with, or will you come back to our world?
I'm actually, I think I said this to you when we talked before. I'm oddly missing InsurTech. And
The oddly part breaks my heart, but I'm glad that you're missing it.
well, I say that because like There's something exciting about it. I had a really, with Varuna in particular, I had a very exciting time working with agencies and building the product and solving the problems. And even the conferences are a lot of fun, and you get to know the people, and you start to create a network of just like, a club of people, that are all in the same space. And so, yeah, there's a big part of me that misses the insurtech world. I think at this stage of the game for me, I probably wouldn't start a new insurtech, but rather I'd like to join a startup that exists, one that I could bring my skill set to take things to the next level.
And and
So
and
go
that
ahead.
that would likely be the sales side, or
Oh yeah,
do
yeah,
correct. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. Yeah, well, I
perfect.
mean, especially because, like, as I mentioned before, everybody has a specific skill set they're the best at, and for me, it's been the sales,
And
marketing,
that is an
side.
extremely valuable skill set. Proven ability to sell into the insurance space
Right.
is rare, uh, and valuable. Uh, and I selfishly hope we get you back. Selfishly,
I appreciate that.
I hope one of my clients reaches out and goes like, "We need that guy. Where can we sign your contract?" But yeah, no, I hope we get you back
All right.
into the insurtech world. Uh,
Well, I'm sure I'll end up there eventually because it's something I miss.
perfect, John. Thank you so much for your time. I don't want to make you late if you have another meeting, but this has been fantastic. For any other insurtech founders that have had an exit, I would love a whole series of interviews with people who have had an exit. I haven't done enough of those. So come share what you learned. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a super awesome conversation. And it was
Yeah,
a lot of
I think
fun to.
a lot of founders you're going to find are bald like me because we all lose our hair from the
Oh, I
stress.
totally get it. I believe me, like favorite things, I don't have to raise. I have no employees.
Yeah,
Right. Like I don't have to raise, and I have no employees. I have no
right.
investors. Oh, my life is amazing.
A
So
lot
I
less to worry
totally get
about.
it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun to have the mic turned towards me for a while too.
All
Uh,
right. Wonderful.
thank you so much for your time today.
All right. Thanks, Tony.